Hey out there. I'm Greg Colossale, and you're listening and watching the first episode on air of the New World Podcast. Once again, I'm Greg Colossale, and you are tuning into my first video production of this here in the new millennia, I guess you could say. I'm happy to be with you. Today we're going to be talking about, it's probably going to be a series of different clips, but today we're talking about a combination of abuse and scapegoating and how you can survive and you can thrive even if you're being targeted by a bunch of folks in order to harm you or to scapegoat you. Sometimes it's done without much thought. Doesn't mean everyone who does it is maliciously evil. And then there are people who are methodically planning the demise of your reputation. So we're going to talk all about that and a little bit more right here on my new video feature here. All live right here on the New World. So let's open the door to this maniacal activity that we call narcissism, narcissistic abuse. Also abuse in general, and of course it levels up. So I have the audio one out there. I really like it, and I think it's spot on. But because I've been, I hate this word, but because I've been a victim of really bad abuse like that, I really hate bullies, and I just hate being on the other side of it. Now, when I say a victim, I'm also an accomplice. It's not cool to say it that way, but it's true. Meaning, I see something wrong. I have to try to fix something. It's going to be weird, but I'm going to have to try to fix it. So scapegoating and abuse, they're kind of the same. They're one and the same. So let's talk a little bit about the perpetrator in regards to why they are targeting you. This is not easy to say. I'm a humble person, but I'm not going to be for much longer. I'm knocking on 50. Can you hear it? Do you hear 50? And it hasn't done me a lot of good to be humble. It has among my students or anybody I'm rehearsing and conducting, because when I'm around a bunch of people, if I'm teaching a bunch of kids, which is what I did most of my life, I don't want to be like, I'm amazing. You're not so amazing. Watch me. This is how it goes. I hate that. I would always just get down on their level and try to show them that they can do anything they put their mind to. In this one regard, I have a weird skill. I can play the piano and sing at the same time. So when you're learning songs and you're singing and you're in chorus, I'm probably, oh my God, the best one in the room. But that's because I've been doing it for longer than they've been alive. But I don't want that feeling. I don't need anyone to go, oh my, you're amazing. You're amazing. Thanks. I'm not really amazing. I mean, I'm just skilled because I've done something repeatedly. So being humble is almost the entrance they're looking for. Because to understand this horribleness, you probably want to understand what's called Machiavellianism, Machiavelli. Machiavelli was a Sicilian aristocrat who wrote a book called The Prince. And what he did was he looked very closely at the world, the kingdoms, and you're talking like 600 years ago maybe. And he saw that dark traits, dark triads, evil, aggression, non-niceness, very violent motives seemed to win power. Those in power, those who have a lot, those who have whatever, the haves and the have-nots, the haves seem to be diabolical. So I'm not debating that that's not a realistic thing. But I'll prove to you, aside from the assassination, that I became very powerful and all the things that come with it, and I did it blatantly with love. You see, so it's not the only way. But if you don't really come stocked with high IQ, a lot of talent, social intelligence, emotional intelligence, you're going to probably just play on your looks, sexy. In other words, you're going to need the I to appear dominant. And if you don't understand your senses well enough, the I, out of all your senses, is the easiest one to fool. That's why when you smell a sandwich and it smells foul, you don't just start eating it, because your nose is telling you this is not good. But when you see a hot woman with gigantic everything that you love, you date her. You want to date her because your eye is telling you that she's good. When you meet her and you realize that she harms her children, smacks her husband, or hates her mom, or poisons her children, or whatever you want to say, kicks her dog, you could tell that the eye didn't serve you so well. Now, the eye is what most of this energy uses because it's the first point of judgment, and they're going to be full of trickery. They have to trick the eye. Now, I'm not religious, but I am spiritual. I don't follow one religion, but I believe in God. And so that has done me a world of good, because God and goodness and some of the behaviors that are kind of meek to many are the behaviors I naturally do. I don't want to hurt you physically. I don't want to hurt you emotionally. Until you come at me so hard that I need to stop you, then I'll use crazy words. Just like an animal will growl and show its teeth, I'm not going to commit a crime. I'm not going to do something that I have to walk away feeling horrible about. Let me tell you, all you young fighters and butt kickers and UFC people, I respect it. It's amazing, but there's something that you're not going to realize until you're older. And that is, when you harm another, for whatever reason you choose, it's going to be carried by you. And unless you alter your state or change something about yourself psychologically, which is very hard to do, you will carry that for the rest of your life. If you kill somebody for good reason, like self-defense, you don't just go out to dinner very often unless you're truly psychopathic, where you can put it in a place where it's gone, it doesn't exist. Most people aren't. That's a small percentage of the population. So be very careful about revenge and attacking and hurting, because, 25, you're cool. 35, you're cool. When you get over 40 years old, which is still got half your life to live if things are good, you'll carry a burden that is supposed to be carried. And that's why regret and shame and guilt are deadly. They're actually deadly. They're very, very deadly emotions. A lot of suicide comes from battling the three words I just said. So going back to what I was kind of describing, make sure that if you are a target of a bully, of abuse, of a methodical energy to harm you, if it's once or twice, every now and then, it's not a big deal. But when you can sense that your colleague, your brother, your sister, your girlfriend, your wife, your son or daughter, when you sense that they are repeating actions to cause you dismay, now you're dealing with kind of a predator. So predators, and again, I don't say this lightly, and a lot of folks, but my mom's wonderful, and this is why sometimes this talk can really mess people up, and that's not something I want to do. So predatorial people are in the wild as well. So anytime I have an issue in my life, I look at nature. Predatorial behavior is in the wild. So when you're dealing with life, look at nature for the answer, okay? You could find all of our answers in nature, because there's 7 billion humans on the planet, and there's 130 other mammals on the planet that share our Earth with us. We're mammals, so are they. They copulate, they poop, they pee, they run from predators, or they fight the predator. They have to hunt and take down and kill and end the life of a plant or an animal in order to survive. And it's exactly like we do. So nature will show you some basic elements of rules that will calm you down. There are predators in the wild. There are predators among humans. There is. Now, you don't have to live in fear, but this is why I'm trying to show you self-defense. Now, there's a self-defense where you can physically fight a perpetrator, and that's not what this is about. And then there's self-defense of your soul and heart, something I had no idea could be destroyed through people that are close to you. So, and again, I want you to tune into my audio podcast, because I did a great one where I compare this to vampires. And man, I'm on to something. Go ahead and check that one out. It's on the New World podcast on Spotify, and it's about vampires. I think it's called Narcissistic, and you can listen to it. It is bango. I'm proud of that one. So when I'm talking about predators, you have to understand what they want. They only can survive upon your destruction. That's how it is, okay? Most of the deviant predators are not massively intelligent. Whoops. Now you could find fault with what I'm saying. Some people believe that intelligence and cunning are the same thing. For instance, Ted Bundy was very cunning. He was very manipulative, and he was very likable, and he was extremely crazy violent. Like, he did awful things. So that's the case against my argument, where this is a super intelligent serial killer. Another man named Ed Kemper was another one. He's 6'9", called the co-ed killer. A tragic, more just dead people from Santa Cruz, and I mean, high IQ, very high. I think in like the 150 or something. So I'm not saying that there can't be a combo, but intelligence at its ultimate level, at its highest form among humans and animals, is what? Ingenious creativity, ingenuity. You won't find predatorial behavior in someone like Elon Musk, as much as I can defer. I don't really know him. You won't find it in these power players who have invented life-changing things for us, often called creative entrepreneurs. But primarily at their core, most people who operate like this are extremely wonderful toward humans. They love humans enough to want to alter the world for humans in a good way most of the time. So to embrace predatorial people is just how it goes. Now, what is a predator doing? And I'm going to stop saying that word because I'm going to change it to abuser. You see, the hollowness of an abuser is why I feel so bad talking about this. I've always tried to empathize or understand and or allow them to be loved. My father was abusive in a lot of ways to many. However, for his first 20 years on the planet, what he saw in war-torn Italy was so dark, so violent. The fact that he survived and lived as a squandering, poor, starving kid is unbelievable. So what happened to him under the age of 20 caused his rage and his anger to be set off very quickly. Excuse me. He would be very threatened very easily and explosive in the in his outward energy towards you. I mean, there's no one. I never seen anyone in my life, not even in a movie, as outwardly explosive as my father. So that is where this comes from. You understand? The hurt from the trauma as a youth usually creates this rather maniacal deviance as an adult. And people like me who had a little pretty good first 20 years on the planet, supported. I mean, my father was crazy, but I didn't receive unfair or unjust treatment. My father, when he smacked us, it was for some crime that we committed. He did not just come home and start beating on us or something. So I understood how he loved me. He loved me, even though he was a little scary. When he lost control, he thought, "Oh my God, when I went running through the parking lot, almost get hit by cars, he's gonna smack me in the back of the head with the 'Don't you ever do that again.'" Not because he's so angry, because he lost control. He worried that his son might die. How do you teach your son from not killing himself by running into cars? You can have a long chat, but now if you can't speak and write English very well, you're going to just use the teeth, just like every animal out there. The reason why Mama and Papa Bear and lion and tigers bite their little ones is because they're like, "Are you done? This is the limit." And then when the little ones get scared, they're like, "Holy cow, because the father's trying to say, stop it. You can kill you and I can kill you, but I love you. I don't want you to die. Now shut up. And this is and you understand? That's a beautiful thing to me. I think it's beautiful because I noticed that everyone who is predatorial, primarily, who dreams up these revenge and wants to hurt you, take away from you, bring you down, talk you down, take away, they didn't have that. I did the study, man. They did not have that. Because once you are loved by that energy, you don't have a desire to harm, too much at least. When you are protected and provided for by an aggressive, assertive, noble father, I guess you could say, and mother, it leaves you confident enough to go, oh, I don't want other people to feel bad. I remember my father making sure I didn't make people feel bad. So this is why it's hard to talk about this topic and not sound heartless, because I love people. I don't want to hurt them, but you got to get to a point where you go, no. You can't. You're now. The difference between an animal and a human is a human has a lot of reasoning capability. This is the essence of abuse. Abusers is weakness. They are weak. So that's why you ever notice the Chihuahua, those little dogs, they bark the most. They're the angriest. They scream and bark and they don't ever stop. They just keep on going and keep on going and keep on going. But the big Great Dane is just like, boo, boo, boo. That's because the Great Dane is not as afraid as the Chihuahua. The Chihuahua sees everything as big and threatening. A Great Dane sees everything as small and easy. So this is a true thing. This is what's crazy. You might hear a dog barking, by the way. Now, this is what's crazy. Once you understand that that's a reality, you're like, wow, I noticed that. So you don't want to hurt them. You don't want to hurt them more. But this is the essence of why they're showing you their teeth. They're showing you their teeth because they're afraid. There's only two motivations in the world. This is hard to believe, but when you get down to it, there's only fear and love. Now, in addition to fear and often a rocky past, there's this third component, and it's awful to me. I hate it, but I'll call it substance abuse. So this is not a flaw for an abusive person. This is just a very common trait. Okay, so the chemical thing is like a start over. Now, when you're 20, you're 25, you're 30, it's all pretty normal to be drunk. Right? You go to the bars with your friends and drugs, and it's all pretty normal to do that stuff in a young age. I'm now referring to the 40, 50, 60-year-old people, half of their life, but unfortunately they're still choosing to alter their state maybe every night with this chemical. Now, the only drug out there that I don't think has really destructive effects on your personality the way that all the others could. In other words, if for 200 straight days you used all the drugs, the one that I think would do least harm is marijuana. So I'm biased, of course. I'm sure it causes problems for others, but I'm just trying to show you the game. Usually aggressive people are talking about white powder and alcohol. These are fuels for diabolical energy. That one is a depressive, but alcohol is not a depressive as in it makes you sad. What it does is it reduces your inhibitions. It depresses your inhibitions. So that's the third component. This is why it's so difficult to charge these people with guilt. You know what I'm saying? You're bad. I'm not saying, they have to be accountable for what they choose to do, but this is a huge factor. I haven't really met a completely sober, well-balanced predator. I never did. They're always in the game of drugs and alcohol. However, the big deal really is about trying to stop this energy from harming you and not sounding judgmental. Hear all the things I'm saying? And this leads me to number 4. Judge and judge harshly. Yeah, you heard me. Judge and judge harshly. It's nature's calling. It doesn't mean slander. It doesn't mean belittle. It doesn't mean gossip. Internally, you have to say, nope, absolutely not. And when you hear that internally, you have to then take action. Okay? The problem is with narcissists, the psychopath, the sociopath, every minute alteration of a relationship will seem as an attack. And they don't wipe a tear. They don't go get sad. They get fiery, aggressive. You see, what they have to do is create scenarios that make you look bad and use society to attack. So this is a very important part of this. This is something I would never do because I love people. But Machiavellians hate people. They hate them. They only think about them. They fear them. They want to control them. They manipulate them. That's, again, the lizard brain. That's why the Machiavellian doesn't move into often, something profound. So let's again, we're gonna realize that a person with a bomb hidden under her dress who gets close to a crowd and it blows up and kills everybody is called a terrorist. A girl who's kind to you but who's learning everything about you in order to harm you later on with a social bomb is a terrorist. They're the same energies, you see. A man is doing it all the time. Men are more prone to do this behavior because it is a form of violence which will stop them from stabbing you, which will put them in prison. And so that's why it's gross. It's more gross. And we're going to show you why. What's his name? His last name was Baum, B-A-U-M. Well, his first names are escaping me, but he wrote The Wizard of Oz. Let's talk about The Wizard of Oz a little bit. A lot of people don't know, but the story of The Wizard of Oz is exactly the story of a malicious narcissist and everything we're talking about, diabolical behavior to harm the innocent, okay, by actually creating a perceived injury that wasn't real. Let's talk about The Wizard of Oz as an example of abuse and narcissistic abuse and all that, okay? There are some terms that you will learn if you've been in this situation. One of those terms is called flying monkeys. The scariest thing that happened to me a couple of times, and this is the female again, it wasn't just one, it was when female energy wants to harm you, they use the hive mind. Young women's relationships, I can't say this about older, but sometimes women don't trust other women. The age-old problem between the mother-in-law and the wife fighting over, she's a mom. It's because technically there's parts of women that women understand are awful and diabolical. They're a secret. No one talks about it. Can't make babies if you are scared of the woman you're getting pregnant. So sugar and spice is what's on the shelf. That's what they sell for a long time. But there is a part of women that women agree and won't always admit, but they do when they're, chill, is that they don't trust each other. Part of their addiction, like men are addicted to sex and the achievement of sex and desire, and women are addicted to validation. They can be validated in many ways, but it's validation that secures them and say, "Oh, I'm still wanted, I'm still beautiful, I have people like me, I have friends, I'm attractive, or I have a beautiful family, my children are extensions of me." None of this is bad. It's just the stuff you learn as the years go on. So going back to The Wizard of Oz, once you realize that it's a woman-oriented battle, one of the most famous stories in the world, one of them, I would say it's the top 10. And then one of the most important movies to ever make it to our eyes, the first in-color movie, is a battle among ladies, really, if you think about it, kind of. So let's talk about it. And now you're going to see, so flying monkeys, right? They're the groups of people that assist the abuser in abusing you. Uh, gangs do it. The police do it. The mafia does it. There's politicians do it. It's like, hey, we need more people to hate this person, so you join in. You see, if someone comes to me and says, "Hey, Greg, listen, Shirley is a jerk. 25 people down the street hate her. So we're going in front of her house. We got signs. We're going to scream, 'You're a jerk.'" It's so stupid. Why don't you come with us so we'll have a beer after? No, I'm pretty good. No, you want to come with us. Now, right there, he's basically saying, join us, or, we could be out front of your house. So that's the basic mindset. And so out of fear and other reasons, and I'm not sure what all are, but they do it. Oh, I'm going to go there too. And they start yelling. You'll see a lot of people in the world like this. Very, very not me. So in the movie, in the show, The Wizard of Oz, the whole thing starts off with a tornado that takes a house and squashes a witch. When it starts off, the witch, I forget which one, is killed by a house. Now, out of that house comes Dorothy. The witch's sister, the Wicked Witch of the West, is so upset, sees Dorothy as the murderer. You see? This is how the disordered person sees things. Not logic. A tornado took the house, threw it up in the air, and squashed it on a poor woman called a witch. Inside the house was a little innocent girl. I think she was 16 maybe in the movie, supposed to be. She comes out, and now the narcissist has someone to blame. You see what I'm saying? Dorothy did not kill the witch. Nature killed the witch. As Dorothy comes out, here is, this isn't nice, but it's all part of the lesson. The witch is green, got a big wart on her nose. She's in her older years. She's alone. She lives in a castle. She makes, what do you call that, serums and stews in a kettle, and she says a lot of bad stuff. She has a lot of rage. She seldom is saying nice things. She's very angry pretty much every time we see her. She's not really attractive. You know what I'm saying? She's a little bit angry. Out of the house comes this little teenage girl at the start of her life, the prime of her beauty as she moves into a female adulthood. This is secretly the rage. You see, if she was a monster of a person and she came out of the house, this is what I'm talking about, the maniacal female energy between them. She'd almost be happy. The witch would be like, good, she's ugly and disgusting and fine. So here she is, this young girl, full of goodness. Okay, let me show you how the narcissist works. They target the good. See? They target the good, the hopeful, the sweet, the helpful, the kind. That's what they do. They can only get what's called narcissistic supply from doing that to those people. Narcissistic supply is the rush and the energy and the success that they feel upon hurting a target. So watch this. Watch closely how the Wizard of Oz will tell you this story and how to go. So what does this innocent girl do? She doesn't even know she's being targeted. This is part of the scary thing. I had no idea that the women and the people that I loved actually were trying to harm me. No idea. None. Because I loved them. I accepted them. Even when they did bad things, I was like, well, you're still this, and I love you, but you just kind of move away. So Dorothy, in her kindness, comes out and says, I didn't really kill your sister. I'm sorry. I'll get you. Most of the time of the movie, she is helping hurting people. She meets a guy with no heart who's very sad and just wishes he had a heart. He's hurting and kind of unwell, and he's frozen. He's actually stuck, and she breaks him free. Symbolic. Pay attention to the symbolism. And she says, well, come with me. Spend time with me, and we'll go on a walk, and we'll go to, maybe if we go to this special place, we'll get some help. Oz, right? We're going to go to Oz. Then she meets a guy with no brain. Same thing. He's kind of dumb, but he's really nice and can't. He's really loose. Remember the scarecrow? And she says, "Hey, come with us. It's okay. Come with us. We love you. We're going to help you. When you're with me, you don't really. You're not broken." Which is something I said to many students in my day. And then they find the lion, right? He has no courage. He's scared. He's afraid. He's different than the other lions. And she says, "Oh, don't worry. Just come with me. We love you." And because narcissists believe themselves to be superior, this is part of the disorder. This false superiority, the grandiosity, is actually self-hate that they don't want to be revealed for reasons that are so sad. Dorothy loves them. Come on. And they have now the whole time. The evil witch, the wicked witch, is stewing. I hate this. She's watching in her ball, and she could see everything. And she sets out to hurt her. Can you imagine that? This is what I'm trying to tell you. I'm like Dorothy. Hey, let's go over here. I don't know that there's people out there. And there are. There really are. Who are like, look at him. We have to destroy him. And again, they're scary. They will drug your food. They will they'll just destroy your life. I have been attacked for years, every day. So Dorothy doesn't become wicked even though everything's going wrong. And now watch this. She gets drugged. Do you remember the poppy scene? This is part of it. You see, murderous people, diabolical people, they will do whatever's necessary to take you down. So she doesn't realize it. She enters this poppy field and she becomes drugged. Well, by becoming drugged and altering her state, this is not something she does on the regular. Now she's susceptible. They have to break down the goodness using any way possible. Fear, lies, triangulation, setting you up, using all kinds. So now, in the chemicals, you get a chemical in a person and it changes them. The women will drug you and then seduce you and then get you talking and they'll record you and now they're going to blackmail you. This is their system. This is the system, okay? But the people who they hire to do that are the flying monkeys. You see, the monkeys do whatever the witch says without any thought. And they're not, they're kind of hurting. The monkeys don't look like people you'd go out with and hang out with, right? So they use hurting people to hurt the innocent person. Once the flying monkeys come and grab her, they bring her and they take Dorothy away, okay? So this is to show you, this is the exact same thing that happens in the world of narcissists. They want to harm you. They want to harm the innocent. But they believe you did this to them. The house fell on her sister, but it was you, Dorothy. She's like, oh, she didn't do anything. Now, the story as you know it, they seek. They continue to seek. Now, this is part of it, too. This is a horrible lesson to learn for victims, and I hope this doesn't hurt your feelings. But don't forget what they believe is going to help. The group, the four of them, down the yellow brick road, even though there's an assassin trying to kill her in a way, they believe that all of their problems will be solved when they get to Oz and when they meet this entity who will help them, the Wizard of Oz, the wizard. And then what you learn is an amazing lesson for all of us. And that is when they get to the wizard and they expose the wizard, they realize the person that they're hoping so badly will help them is a fraud. He's not real. He's a fraud. What they want them to learn is that everything they had and everything they need and everything they desire or thought they didn't have was actually inside them. It wasn't the wizard who did anything for them. In fact, you might say that the witch, that the narcissist, that the aggressor led them to understand that inside them is greatness. What? The best thing about psychopathic targeting gang stalking. I'm going to do a whole one. When you hear about my gang stalking, just you won't even believe it. But what it does to you and for you, it has like stages, like the stages of grief, you know. Fear is huge in the beginning, and doubt and mistrust, and it's what they're doing. They're creating a fog of distrust for you, a fog of your friends are turning on you, your family's turning on you, you're bad, it's so crazy. And then you look in the mirror and you realize, oh, wait a minute, how could there be 30, 40, 50 people involved in harming me all over the country, in secrecy, in public? How could there be this many people designed to harm me? That's how powerful you are. Did you hear me? Am I looking in the right place? That's how powerful you are. And this is the gift of abuse. Sorry, but it is. It's delivered with poison. But if you can open the box and not touch the poison, the power that's inside the box is indescribable. I don't thank abusive people. Never. I never want them to forget that they use a tactic that is weak. But I'm not a victim anymore. What it does is it gives you a power that you had, that they have always seen. You don't talk about it. They can't stand thinking about it. And they want it, but they can't have it. They don't have it. So because you have it, that's why it hurts. The Wicked Witch targeted Dorothy. She didn't target the Scarecrow. He didn't have it. Dorothy had it. Jackie Gleason used to say, you either have it or you don't have it. And I have it. That's what he used to say. And what is it? I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. My father had it. One of my teachers had it. What is it? Again, I don't know. But it's what they want. And it's what we ignore that we have out of kindness for others. So if you've been a target, if you've been hurt, if you see the constant and repetitive abuse from someone near, you have to trust me and understand it's because you're magic. And they're not. They don't understand what it takes to maintain, control, and grow your magic, because this is where you must learn to forgive because of the trauma. Whatever happened in those first 20 years usually caused there to be great pain, great problems, great doubt. I do hope this was helpful. And again, folks, remember, there is nothing wrong with you. There's only things that are right with you. Please check out the Vampire podcast while you're driving. It could answer a lot of your questions. It's kind of like, I didn't think that I was, Superman until Lex Luthor started to mess with me. And I don't just ignore stuff. I end up believing that it's not right. Don't be scared to play the fool. And I'm going to leave you with this one last thought. The weak cannot survive the outcasting of being a fool. What is a fool? Well, it's not what you think it is. Socially, most folks get scared of it. But historically, it's one of the most powerful roles you'll end up playing in your life. Did you know The closest person to most kings in powerful kingdoms for hundreds and hundreds of years was the jester. The jester is known by us as a clown, as a comedian, someone who is supposed to make people laugh. But truly, the jester was one of the most intelligent people in the kingdom. He didn't have a lot of money, but he was incredibly intelligent. The kings knew this. They trusted the jester more than their queens. To keep status, the jester had to take a big risk to be that close to the king, and that is, he would eat the food that could be poison. But if all went well, he was actually the king's advisor, and the king trusted him a great deal, and he was known as the fool. You see what I'm saying? They want to embarrass you. They want to exploit you. They want you to appear bad. But that is because the flying monkeys use society to harm you. And they've done it to all the greatest people. You, my friend, you are one of the greats. Don't you forget that. You're great. How can you tell you're great? Why are they hurting you? Why are they trying to ruin you? They don't try to ruin, a homeless person. They don't try to ruin the guy that sweeps curbs in the park. Ain't nothing wrong with it, but they don't target him. They target the powerful. Because when you're afraid, you look for courage. And when they're afraid, they are diabolical. So keep your head up and realize you have it. You either got it or you don't. We got it. I'm Greg Colossale, and you've been listening to The New World. The New World podcast has been brought to you by Trojan Condom. Wear one or your life will change forever.